By 10 o'clock in the morning on August 2nd, 216 BC, the Roman infantry had been pushing forward across the Apulian plain for 2 hours. The men in the front ranks were sweating heavily in the August heat. Tens of thousands of advancing feet had kicked up a blinding dust, to the point where a soldier in the third or fourth rank could no longer see what lay ahead of him. But what they could feel was the Carthaginian center yielding. This specific hour is the moment we need to hold up to the light. We are not looking at the slaughter that came later in the afternoon. We are looking at the exact structural moment when the Roman command could still have stopped the advance. They had the time to pull the legions back to their starting positions and read the geometry developing around them. They chose to keep going. Centurions called their men forward to press the perceived advantage. And in doing so, an army of roughly 80,000 disciplined men irretrievably committed themselves to ground from which they could not withdraw. Hannibal commanded an integrated combined arms system in which infantry, cavalry, and command operated as components of a single responsive architecture. He had built a different kind of military object than the one Rome brought to the field. The Roman force consisted of high-quality components without a comparable architecture to connect them. At Cannae, counting men and weighing equipment produced a losing arithmetic, one that ignored the fatal disadvantage of a mass force facing an integrated one. The road to this disaster began 2.5 years earlier. Hannibal crossed the Alps into northern Italy in the autumn of 218 BC. The crossing caused staggering attrition, reducing his force from nearly 100,000 men to approximately 26,000 upon arrival. The Roman political class viewed a force of that size with confidence, assuming their vast manpower reserves could easily absorb the threat. This diagram illustrates the pattern Hannibal established at the Battle of the Trebia. He offered a visible center to draw the Roman main effort forward. Once the Roman infantry committed to the frontal engagement, a concealed Carthaginian cavalry and infantry force emerged from a ravine and struck the Roman rear. At Lake Trasimene the following year, the geography changed, but the operational pattern remained identical. Hannibal deliberately marched his army through hostile, malarial marshes to draw the pursuing Roman column into a narrow defile between the lakeshore and the forested high ground. The Romans were trapped in march formation and destroyed in pieces. Following these defeats, Rome briefly adopted a cautious, delaying strategy under the dictator Quintus Fabius Maximus. But the Roman public and political class demanded a decisive victory. They replaced Fabius's approach with the politically mandated aggression of the two new consuls for 216 BC, Varro and Paulus. The Senate authorized the assembly of the largest field army the Republic had ever fielded and ordered the consuls to seek battle. The decision to fight at Cannae was a political requirement, overriding objective military analysis, driving 80,000 men directly into the exact operational pattern Hannibal had already perfected. The Roman army that arrived on the Cannae plain consisted of 8 legions plus allied contingents. They fielded roughly 80,000 heavy infantry, deploying the articulated manipular system that made them the most sophisticated infantry in the Mediterranean. But their cavalry, numbering only around 6,000 to 7,000, was their structural weakness. Hannibal's army totaled roughly 50,000 effectives. They were outnumbered 3-2 overall and 2-1 in heavy infantry. But Hannibal possessed a massive concentration of force in the mounted arm, organized into highly specialized integrated cavalry components. His mounted arm was divided by specific function. The Numidian light cavalry operated without saddles or heavy armor. Their role was to pin the enemy with skirmishing tactics and high operational mobility. Conversely, the heavy Spanish and Celtic cavalry provided the shot element, designed to break opposing horsemen in direct head-to-head combat. Hannibal's infantry was similarly composite. He placed his Gallic and Spanish infantry in the center. Their specific role was to engage the Roman advance and yield ground. Positioned on the extreme wings of this line were the African heavy infantry, his most reliable veteran professional soldiers. These African veterans were equipped in large part with Roman swords, shields, and armor stripped from the dead at Trebia and Trasimene. They fought with the exact same equipment as the Roman legionaries they faced, proving that physical weaponry alone does not dictate combat performance. The Roman manipular system was technically superior to anything in Hannibal's center. However, the technical superiority of individual components cannot compensate for the architectural inferiority of their integration across the battlefield. The Cannae plain was a flat, cultivated area extending roughly 3 kilometers from the Aufidus River. Hannibal deliberately selected this ground. Its featureless terrain neutralized the Roman numerical advantage by offering no defensive geographical features to anchor against. The convex Carthaginian center was an active mechanism assigned to absorb the Roman advance. As they conducted a fighting withdrawal, bending backward into a concave trap, the African heavy infantry perfectly held their ground on the wings, allowing the advancing Romans to flank themselves. The geometry of the cavalry sealed the perimeter. Hasdrubal's heavy cavalry was ordered to break the Roman left quickly, then immediately disengage from the pursuit, ride laterally across the rear of the entire infantry battle, and join the Numidians to crush the Roman right. Hannibal's deployment was the geometric instrument that converted Roman forward movement into Roman entrapment. Through their own forward motion, the legions placed themselves in flanked positions relative to the African veterans. The engagement opened between 7 and 8 in the morning on the Carthaginian right wing. Hasdrubal led his heavy Spanish and Celtic cavalry head-on against Paulus's smaller Roman citizen cavalry. Pinned against the river to their left, the Roman mounted force broke in under an hour. Victorious cavalry in high adrenaline combat naturally want to ride down a broken enemy. Hasdrubal's men executed an extraordinary level of operational discipline. They broke off their active pursuit, reformed into good order, and began redeploying across the rear of the battlefield. By hour 2 of the infantry clash, the Carthaginian center was sustaining heavy casualties, its line bulging irregularly under the intense Roman pressure. The Roman infantry, sensing an apparent victory unfolding exactly as their tactical doctrine predicted, pressed forward aggressively into the developing concavity. The Roman commanders were positioned forward, directing the advance and committing their reserves. Focused entirely on the visible infantry combat directly in front of them, they lacked the analytical framework to perceive the geometric closure happening behind and to the sides of their formations. Hannibal's deployment achieved total closure at midday. The African heavy infantry on both wings swung inward 90 degrees, striking the Roman flanks, while Hasdrubal's heavy cavalry struck the rear. The Roman command possessed multiple decision points prior to this moment. They could have halted their advance, or kept their deep reserves back. Instead, they chose forward momentum, permanently sealing their own doom. With the encirclement complete, the space available for Roman tactical maneuver dropped to absolute zero. The formations compressed inward, until men could no longer swing their weapons. Over the ensuing hours, between 50 and 60,000 Roman and Allied soldiers were killed. The demographic damage was severe enough to threaten the structure of the state. Rome lost perhaps 20% of its entire military-age male citizen population in a single afternoon, alongside the consul Paulus, and more than a quarter of the entire Roman Senate. Carthaginian losses on the same day were fewer than 6,000 men. It was a casualty ratio of roughly 10-1 against the Romans. Most states in antiquity would have sought a negotiated settlement after a disaster of this scale. The Roman Senate refused peace terms. They explicitly voted against ransoming captured soldiers, and they publicly thanked the surviving consul, Varro, for not having despaired of the Republic. The Roman state survived because its institutional culture possessed moral force. They could absorb a civilizational disaster without political collapse. This strategic patience provided the time necessary to restructure their own operational architecture, eventually building an integrated combined arms army that would defeat Hannibal 15 years later. The structural physics of Hannibal's victory map perfectly onto an independently developed strategic framework, Sun Tzu's The Art of War, composed in China at least a century before Cannae. Sun Tzu distinguishes between the regular, expected force, zhang, and the extraordinary, unexpected force, qi. The Gallic and Spanish infantry operating in the center was the zhang, engaging the Roman main effort directly. The African heavy infantry holding the wings was the qi, striking from an angle the Roman command lacked the analytical framework to anticipate. By deploying a yielding center, Hannibal utilized Sun Tzu's principle of offering weakness as bait. He offered the Roman legions an apparent vulnerability, using their pursuit of that weakness to draw them into a position of greater disadvantage. He weaponized Rome's own tactical training against their strategic awareness. Cannae is not an isolated historical event. It is a pure, visible expression of universal structural conditions regarding how human command systems engage in conflict. The physical equipment of warfare changes, but the underlying arithmetic does not. That structural arithmetic has dictated operational planning into the modern era. In the early 20th century, Alfred von Schlieffen, chief of the German General Staff, became obsessed with the battle, attempting to recreate Cannae's geometry at a strategic scale for a European war. The principles were later executed with mechanized units by Erich von Manstein. He applied the Cannae geometry to the German breakthrough at Sedan in 1940, and again at the Third Battle of Kharkov in 1943, using armored forces to close the trap. The Soviet General Staff executed their own iteration in November 1942 with Operation Uranus at Stalingrad. The Red Army explicitly targeted the weak Romanian armies on the flanks, breaking them rapidly to encircle the strong German center locked in urban combat. During the Six-Day War in 1967, the Israeli Defense Forces applied the principles in the Sinai Peninsula. Israeli armored columns bypassed front-line Egyptian fortifications entirely, driving through the Sinai passes to close the operational rear and destroy the opposing army. In 1991, United States Central Command planned Operation Desert Storm as a deliberate modern Cannae. The famous left hook utilized deep armored maneuver through the Saudi desert to encircle the Iraqi army, destroying it as an operational instrument in roughly 100 hours. Platforms have evolved from horses to tanks, but the core structural pattern persists. An integrated combined arms force can defeat a larger, less integrated mass through geometric closure. The principles Hannibal used to destroy the legions are the same ones used to plan the armored maneuvers of the modern era. Return to the Apulian Plain at hour 2. The Roman center is sweating in the August heat, pushing forward, entirely unaware that they have just walked past the point of operational reversibility. The Roman commanders directing this advance were not cowards, and they were not stupid. They were executing their doctrine exactly as trained. They were simply operating within an outdated framework that possessed no analytical apparatus to perceive the integrated architecture arrayed against it. The ultimate lesson of Cannae is that operational defeats are rarely caused by single bad decisions in the heat of the moment. They are produced by a systemic failure to audit and update institutional frameworks against evolving adversaries before the moment of crisis arrives.